Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are listening from. Did you miss me? I hope you did. Today we're starting part two of the recovery room. For those that's joining the first time, you can listen to my previous episode called the recovery room. It's basically how you are supposed to be handled after you deal with trauma. Just a brief brief overview. I know I messed that word up. Um, Whenever you have a major surgery or you go to the doctor to get something major done, they put you in they put you in a recovery room. And some hospitals, they have like the monitoring whether you're in surgery or surgery in progress, and the doctor let the family know if you're doing okay, is everything fine, or so on and so forth. But not a lot of people are allowed after you had surgery. I adapt that to my life with dealing with certain traumas. If you have listened to my previous episode, I'm the queen of cutting folks off. I like, man, I'll cut you off in a minute. But what I realized with taking some time out for myself is that you don't necessarily have to cut people off. You just have to limit their access to them. So the first part, we talked about the whole overview of the recovery room. Today's episode is titled Overthink Me. I'll say that again. Overthink me. And I know what you're thinking. You like, overthink me? What do you mean? If you are an overthinker like myself, you clearly understand. So let's get into the basis of what overthinking is. So overthinking, and I'm going to pull this up. So overthinking I should have had this done, but while I'm getting this taken care of, the reason why I decided to do uh, a show today, because today I was about to go into another depressive state, and I always say I'm very spirit led, and I move by the spirit. Whatever the spirit drops in me, I do, and it encouraged me not to lay around, feel sorry for myself, and talk to the people. And as I'm going through this time in my life, I'm sharing this with you to let you know that you are not alone. Don't let the trials and tribulations silence your voice. So hopefully, if I can help one person, then my living definitely will not be in vain. So I got this from Very Well Mind. What is overthinking? Overthinking involves thinking about a certain topic or situation excessively and analyzing it for long periods of time. When you overthink, you have a hard time getting your mind to focus on anything else. It becomes consumed by one thing that you are thinking about. I'll say that again. Overthinking involves when a certain topic or situation excessively analyzing it for long periods of time. When you overthink, you have a hard time getting your mind to focus on anything else, and it becomes consumed by the one thing that you are thinking about. When you are overthinking, whether it's little as somebody saying something crazy to you at work, or you know a job interview that you feel like it went totally wrong, it blocks your mind from thinking about anything else. You're locked in a cage. I can say that personally. You're locked in a cage. And for me personally, I'm a big overthinker. I always say I would throw myself up under the bus before anybody else throws me up under the bus. And what was dropped in my spirit today, that overthinking has legs to it. It's not just something that you get over, overnight, or cure with medicine. It's a battle in the mind. And this is what was dropped in my spirit when it came to me personally. My overthinking stems from having the only, not the only child syndrome, but the middle child syndrome. For my middle kids and, the black sheeps of the family, of course, this podcast is definitely for you. When you always been told, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, oh, you're going to be a problem, so you're going to be a problem child, you always, hard-headed, you always this, and you got to be careful what you speaking to your kids, even when they are younger. And in the black community, we always believed in tough love, and that is true in some shape, form, or fashion. But if you're constantly speaking into their kids saying, oh, you ain't gonna be nothing like, you just gonna be like your mama, you always gonna be like your daddy, you always gonna, that plants a seed in their head and it festers. And so they're double-minded in all their ways. I was told all these years, I look like my dad, or, I, act like my mom. And my mom used to say, you look just like your dad. You look just like your dad. And I thought it was so negative to me back then, because my mom, she was 5'2", light skin, long hair. My younger sister, same height, longer hair. And here's this caramel skin girl like myself, with nappy hair. That's another thing. Nappy hair. And thinking, okay, if I'm going to be a fuck up, I'm just going to be a fuck up. But it made me unstable in my decisions. I always was, going back and, did I actually do this right? And I wish, my prayer is one day I hope that I can be able to see the greatness that others see in me. My friends, my family, they encourage me so much. They like, girl, you could do this. Girl, you can do that. You good at this. And the whole time I'm like, what the hell are y'all seeing? I don't see this. I don't see this. But it starts with childhood trauma or something traumatic happening in your life where you felt like, damn, it's my fault. So in order to prevent this from happening again, let me jump in front of the narrative. And that's my favorite thing I always say. But when you overthink, it blocks you from so many blessings and opportunities and things, people that come into your life, because you're obsessing on what happened, what could I've done different, what could I've done, to change this situation. And what I had to come to realization is that when something happens like that, it's done. It's done. You look back and you're like, oh damn, I should have did that different. Oh well, I got another day. But when you're an overthinker, you're stuck in that moment in time. You're stuck there. You feel like if I make a mistake, all hell gonna break loose. And in the end, you're human. You're not perfect. And as I'm saying this to you, I'm saying this to myself. You're human, Tiffany. You're not perfect. Shit didn't work out certain ways because it was bound to happen. I could have changed it, but what would it left? What would have been the outcome? Would the outcome been the same, or I would have delayed my growth? Y'all heard that? I dropped that gem. If I would have changed that situation, would the outcome still be the same, or would I have delayed my growth? And I feel like that a lot of things that I was overthinking, overanalyzing, trying to fix delayed my growth. It delayed it. So let's hop into this overthinking. I'm not going to be before you long. And so the signs that you are overthinking. You have the inability to think about anything else. We already covered that. You can't think about your whole day is blocked. I remember interviewing for a job. I knew I bombed it. Job interview over. I know I didn't get it. I pretty much canceled myself out before I even raced. Before I even started the race. And I know some of you are out there that's like that. That feels like that. You know, when you walk away from something like, damn, I fucked up. And you're just obsessing and thinking over it. And it sent me into a real deep depression. Granny B, let's just say I did really good on the interview. And they still went and hired someone else. That's in God's will, which I'm still trying to have a grasp on it. Being unable to relax. You're tense. When you're overthinking, you're always on edge. I remember before my divorce, I was a social butterfly. You was gonna catch me at the latest hookah spot or, event or whatever. And now I'm mostly to myself. I do go to certain places, but I go to certain places where a lot of people don't see me because I'm tense. I'm like, oh, I'll probably see someone that knows him. They gonna ask this and ask that. You're unable to relax. And you're missing out on what's going on around you. Life is short. People are leaving here. They're leaving here every day. So when you're overthinking the situation, you can't relax in any setting. And that drives the people that really, really love you away from you because you're a ticking time bomb. Constantly feeling worried or anxious. I'm the anxiety queen, baby. I have panic attacks a lot because I'm at a point in my life I'm trying to rebuild myself. I'll be 39 next month. Staring 40 down. And I have realized there has been a lot of mistakes that I have made in the past that were not good. And I'm learning to deal with them and saying I'm not going to repeat those mistakes anymore. And that brings up anxiety. And if you ever had panic attacks are real, people. Fuck the dumb shit. Panic attacks are real. It feels like your heart is about to come out of your fucking chest. They are real. And it really does fuck with you. I take anxiety meds. I don't like them. They're antidepressants. And yes, I can admit, yes, I do take anxiety meds that are antidepressants, and it makes me feel like a zombie. If you ever had antidepressants before, it makes you feel like an out of body experience, like you're not even here. Fixating on things outside of your control. I'm going to say that again. Fixating on things outside of your control. I'm ministering to myself right now. Fixating on things outside of your control. Baby, you can't control everything. Things are going to happen. You can't. You can't. You can't. You will weary yourself out. Things outside of your control. I'm dealing with it right now. I have a messed up co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband. A very messed up one, and that's a whole nother episode. Where I've tried so hard in different ways to communicate to him and say, hey, we need to come together because this is our daughter's last year, and he's unwilling. So I have came to the point where, to hell with him. That's outside of my control. I can't pull this person to say, come on, please do this. Please do this. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. That's outside of your control. When you figure out that it's outside of your control, oh, this just dropped in my spirit. Thank you. When you figure out that you cannot fix things outside of your control, that's where peace comes in. That's where peace comes in. I can't do this. I can't. This is, Lord, have your way. That's where peace come in. Having a lot of negative thoughts. Baby, when I tell you I wake up with negative thoughts, I could be laying on my face the night before meditating for an hour, and that negative thought comes in, well, you at the same job. You know you ain't getting paid that much. You know them folks ain't called you. I don't even know how you gonna do this. I don't even know. And trust me, they are real. And they take in your mind home. They sit down, they fix themselves something to eat and everything else. And finally, second guessing all your decisions. My goal is to make a decision and stand on it. Because you want to feel like it's the right decision that you're making. And I'm going to practice this, and I urge you to practice this. You to practice this with me. When you're about to make a decision, think about it, pray on it, meditate on it, whatever sources that you have to speak to the higher calling. Mine is praying to God, meditating, being in front of my altar. Think about it before you make that decision and say, whatever decision I decide to make, is it going to be the best outcome? And whatever consequences that come behind it, can I deal with it? Can I deal with it? If you can answer yes to both of them, then you're making the right decision. But if you say, nah, I can't handle the consequences if I do this, then time to re-strategize or pivot. Pivot, okay? Whatever decision I make, I got to stand on it. It's mine. But when you're second guessing all of your decisions, you never can make a solid one. So whenever you're faced with a major decision, stand back, think about it. Say, like I said, pray, meditate, and said, if I make a decision, whatever the outcome, whether positive, negative, am I able to withstand whatever comes the result of it? So and I looked at this, and I'm gonna go over this because I'm running a little bit over the types of overthinking, the all or nothing overthinking. That's why I said overthinking got legs. All or nothing overthinking. This overthinking involves seeking situations that are black and white. Instead of looking at the good and the bad, you analyze the event in terms where there be a total success or total failure. All or nothing. If I don't get this done, ain't shit finna happen. And over generalizing. This form of overthinking is when you base a rule of expectation for the future on a single or random event from the past. Instead of accepting different outcomes are possible, you might assume certain things will always or never happen. In this case, you're overgeneralizing one event from the past to every event in the future, and often leads to overthinking, worrying about things that might not occur. Man, I'll give you an example. Man, I'm never going to be in a stable relationship. I'm too much of a hopeless romantic. In the words of Usher, I love love, I'm just fucking bad at it. I'm not going to be able to be faithful in a relationship. It's not going to happen. It didn't happen then. It didn't happen in my marriage. It didn't happen in the past relationships I've been in. It's not going to happen. But what if someone comes into your life and says, I'm willing to work with you. I understand you got issues in the past. We can take this slow. Let's straighten it out. Let's straighten it out. But when you're overgeneralizing of this one thing that happened in the past, and the past is so freaking tricky. That's why it's the fucking past. This one thing happened in the past determines all the stuff decisions that you make in the future. That does not make sense whatsoever. So don't let certain little traumas that happened in the past, or battle scars, or anything to affect your decisions that you make in the future. Because you're gonna, guess what? You're gonna be doomed to repeat the same shit that you did in the past. So I'm gonna close this with ways to how to stop to overthinking. Distract yourself. Rather than sit and think about a problem for endless amount of times, distract yourself a bit. A brief distraction can give you a break. Distracting myself would be, and I can tell you this with me going into this podcast today, I'm going to tell you something so interesting how I distract myself today that made me feel really, really good. I went to the beauty supply store, got some stuff for my hair, and I was like, I'm going to paint my toenails a cute color. And I've never been successful in my painting my toenails. And, my toenails was looking very struggly. They were looking like struggle toenails. But me pampering myself and painting simple as painting my toenails distract me from my negative thoughts beginning of the day, feeling hopeless. not worth anything. Things are never going to change. That I'm always going to be stuck in this situation. It made me feel important. Simple. The simple things. Distracting yourself, going on a walk, listening to music. Me speaking with you guys is helping me. You don't know me from a can of paint, but me speaking to you, telling you what I'm going through is helping me. Because I'm not saying things just to be saying things. As I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. So be a little bit distracted. Challenge negative thoughts. This is how you challenge a negative thought. For example, man, I'ma always be working at this job that pays minimum wage. No, I'm not. It's not my. This is a pit stop. It's a pit stop. It's not my final destiny. It's something that God is teaching me in this time to prepare me for my next step. Yeah, it looks temporary. Yes, I don't. Yeah, it looks permanent, but it's temporary. Yeah, I don't have all the money to pay my bills, but my bills are covered. It's only temporary. And I learned a word that was dropped during my meditation time: expectancy. Anytime that I have a point of negative thoughts, I say expectancy. Expectancy. I'm expecting something great. I'm expecting something great. My battlefield is in my mind. Expectancy. 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 It's another way is to meditate. We already covered that. If you have an altar, or and meditation don't necessarily mean prayer. You can just be laying in the bathtub listening to music. You could just be journaling. It's a time to take out, to block yourself from the world, to hear, to ease, to quiet down the negative thoughts. And last but not least, practice self-acceptance. Overthinking often stems from dwelling from past mistakes and worrying about things you cannot change. Instead of berating yourself for the things you might regret, try working on being more accepting and compassionate of yourself. All of us on this earth is not perfect. We have done some really messed up things in our lives. That's what builds character. And I have realized I am accepting the fact that that girl 38 years ago is not this woman that you see today. That girl that didn't give a damn about your feelings, that was self-centered, that had to be the life of the party. Fuck your party, it's my party. That's not the person that stands here today. And I say my biggest strength is accountability. I've taken accountability of everything that I've done, but I am not dwelling on my mistakes from yesterday. You are not going to hold me to the mistakes that I have made from yesterday, because that is not me anymore. You are not going to bind me with your lies. You are not going to bind me with any character flaw that you saw in my past, because that is not me. And if that's the only weapon that you have, damn it, I feel sorry for you. You are not. This is what you have to say to your negative thoughts. You are not going to buy me from the mistakes that I made in the past, because that's exactly what it is. It's the past. I am not that person anymore. I am not that person anymore. I'm growing. I'm growing. Wow. Whew. Thank you. Well, that concludes part 2 of the recovery room, Overthinking Me. I hope that this has helped you. Part 3, we will be talking about forgiveness, which I'm working on as well. The art of forgiveness. And as I always say, you, yes, you have the right to tell your story. Don't give anyone else the right to tell it for you. Peace and blessings. I will see you guys later. Love you with all my heart and soul.